So welcome, Russell. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So Russell is the
Hi.
hello. Russell is the founder of teachertrainingvideos.com that you can find online. He's a teacher trainer and a Nile associate, and he does a lot of useful trainings online. So if you're interested, do visit his website and you can find a lot of tips. He's going to talk to us today about a really hot topic at the moment, evaluation and assessment when teaching online. So over to you, Russell, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Okay, Federica, thank you very much. Lovely to see you all. We need to switch over the presentation, yeah, to my presentation, I'm guessing. So if I just click here and just get that ready. Lovely, fantastic, brilliant. Okay, hi to everybody. There's 1,500 of you in the room. So it's one of the biggest webinars that I've ever done. I'm going to try to make this a lesson. I'm almost going to be doing some activities with you to really show you how the technologies work. I'm going to make this as practical as I can. So there'll be lots of engagement from you. Hopefully it's going to work. We're taking a chance. We're going to have a lot of people engaging with these technologies. The biggest class I've ever taught, but let's see if we can make it work. Okay, so let's just get started. So obviously what we're talking about today is how you assess online. I've been teaching online for 20 years. I am going to set a little bit of context, just a little bit, just spend 5 minutes, and then I'm going to show you some tools that I would use for formative assessment, some tools that I would use for summative assessment. And as I said, hopefully we're going to make this as hands-on as possible. So just one really important thing as well. At the end, I will provide you with an email that you can email me if you want videos that show you how to do all the things that I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm not going to send you the presentation. That will be Macmillan. They will do that. But what I will do is, if you want to learn the technologies I'm going to show you today, I've done special videos to help you to learn those technologies. When we teach online, one thing to try to keep in mind is don't think about it in terms of the live session like we're doing now, using Zoom or using Microsoft Teams or using Adobe Connect, or perhaps even you're using Google, perhaps one of the Google tools, Google Meet, for example. Try to always think about it in terms of what the students do for homework and what the students do in the class, and what the students are going to do after the class. Try to connect it together. Always plan your lesson with that big view. Because what you really want is that you want the live session to be as interesting as possible. And if you've done some homework and you connect that to the live session, so the students have done some homework and you connect that to the live session, then you can make your teaching and learning a lot more interesting. And you can get the students to be doing activities very, very quickly. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean in a minute, of an example, okay? When we assess online, when we assess and evaluate students online, it's much more difficult. So I teach online myself. I'm teaching various master's degree programs where I've got teachers, and obviously I don't have contact with them. I teach them online. I don't have the same relationship I would have with them if I was teaching, say, in a face-to-face environment. And it's very hard to know when I'm doing a lesson, how is the lesson going, because I can't really see them that well. So some have got their videos on, but some haven't. So I don't know if they're following me. I don't know if they're sitting comfortable and enjoying what I'm saying, or whether they're bored. There's lots of information that I'm lacking. So it's sometimes very, very difficult to kind of check that natural feeling that we get when we're in the classroom. Yeah, I can see that this is working, or no, this isn't working. I need to go back and do it again. So that kind of informal feedback that we get, and that informal way of just checking that everything's going okay with the students, is actually really hard to do. We have to plan the assessment more when we're teaching online. We need to think about the specific moments when we're going to try to assess the students and make sure that we know that they've understood. So assessment needs to be more formalized, and it needs to be more planned. So we need to use a few technologies that can help us to do that, okay? When we think about assessment, we think about assessment in two ways. Some assessment is to inform us how the learning is going. So are the students learning? Did they understand what's been taught? Did they understand what they've just read? Did they understand the grammar lesson? Okay, so that's all about getting feedback to see, okay, yes, it's working what I'm teaching them, or no, it isn't. And that information is very good for us because that informs us and we can make changes to our teaching if we see that the students didn't do the quiz well or the students are struggling to understand something. So we call that formative assessment. We're not trying to find out whether they passed or failed an exam. We're just trying to gather information. And that information is good for the students because it helps them to understand, did they understand the information? And it's also good for the teacher because it helps us to understand, do we need to teach that again? Is that clear to the students? Is there a problem there? So it's really informative information, and that's what we call formative assessment. And that is the type of assessment that really we should be doing almost all of the time. We also have summative assessment. That's the assessment that the students worry about, the exams, the testing that we do at the end of a course to see, did they understand the knowledge? What level have they got to? That's more about a measurement. That's often more formal. That's often to do with the policies of the school, etc. So we have these two ways of thinking about assessment. And we're going to focus, first of all, on formative assessment. Okay. Now, when we're teaching a lesson, we can use some of the tools that are available to us in that particular lesson. Okay, so we're doing a live session. We can have people writing in the chat window. If we've only got a small class, we can ask students to answer orally. We can even open up, if we're using Zoom, we can open up the interactive whiteboard and the students can write on there. We can make use of quizzes sometimes. For example, the technology I'm using now, if I wanted to, I could make a quiz and check your understanding. So there are systems that allow us to check understanding when we're working online. But really, we need to learn about other technologies. And so I'm going to show you a couple of examples now. And we're going to do a pretend lesson. So this pretend lesson is this. I'm going to play a video. I want you to watch the video. It's only 1 minute and 40 seconds. This is your homework. Imagine that you're at home, you're studying on your own. I've asked you as the teacher to watch this video. You're going to watch the video. I want you to take notes. Okay? Simply watch the video and take notes. It's just 1 minute and 40 seconds. It's quite a funny video and it's about a really bad presenter. I always use this in my examples because I know the video very well and it's really easy. So the idea is, let's imagine this is the homework. Say, watch this video, just going to play it for a minute, take some notes, and then I'm going to imagine that we're now in the class and we're going to do an activity. So let me just start by playing the video just for about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Here we go. All right, let's just make sure it's right back at the beginning. Off we go.
Is this mine? Is it on? Check 1 2 check over 1 2 3. Look, I am your what? Okay, so you need. Basically, I am here from the Fun Lion Incorporated business. As you can see, well, who's got the phone on? Sorry. Hello? They make you want to sing a jungle song.
Okay, he's a terrible presenter. Now, you've been watching that video, and now I'm going to get you to do an activity. I'm going to show you what I want you to do. I'm going to open up my screen share. So I'm going to click on screen share, and I'm going to open up my web browser. And I'll just wait a couple of minutes when I open up the browser, because I know that this slows everyone down. Now, I'm on a website called Answer Gardener. I'm just going to write a question. So I just click on this one button. This is a really easy, free technology. I'm going to click on Answer Garden, and I'm going to write a question. And I'm going to just write, what did he do? Now, he did lots of things, didn't he? He sang a song. He tested the microphone, etc. Just going to ask a simple question. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make the answer. You can write up to 40 characters. I'm going to click on there. Nothing else at all. I'm going to click now on this button at the bottom and create. Now, all I need you to do, I'm going to share the link with you in a minute. All I need you to do is to write your answer. So I'm going to give an example. I'm going to say, he tested the microphone. Okay, so that was one of the things that he did. Okay. So I'm just going to write a simple answer, and then I just click on this button here, submit. And straight away, the answer comes on the screen. So I'm going to click here on the screen and copy that link. I'm going to come back. So I'm going to stop sharing, come back to our presentation. Just wait a couple of seconds, just because of time. And I'm going to put the link in the chat window. I want you to click on it. It'll open up the screen, and I want you to write one answer of one thing that you saw him do. Okay, so let me just click on there. We're going to collect all the answers together. So I've just put it into the chat window. I'll do it again. Just click on the link and write an answer. You go to the top, write an answer, and click submit. One thing that you saw him do during that presentation. You saw him do many, many things. So simply just click on the link and write in your answer. Okay, just click on the link and you can write in your answer. Don't need to write it in the chat window, just put it into that. Yeah, so this is an example of a lovely technology that's called Answer Garden. Now I'm going to just have a look and see how you're getting on while you're doing that. Just going to give you a couple of minutes. I'm just going to have a quick look and let me see if it's working. And absolutely incredible. I can see all your answers all over the screen. Wow, it looks fantastic. Everyone's been answering. I've collected together all of your answers. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to show you in a minute how that looks. Okay, let me just come back to the presentation. Absolutely brilliant, guys, because this is very hard when I'm doing such a big class. Okay, if anyone didn't answer the question and still wants to answer. Okay, so this is a way of collecting together information. Remember, I said you might ask the students to do an activity at home, and then they come in the class and they do an activity connected with the lesson. So you've asked them to watch a video at home, or you've asked them to read an article at home, or you've asked them to do a listening at home, and now you share that link and in the lesson. And remember, I've got 1,500 students with me at the moment. Probably you've only got 20 or 30, so it's going to be much easier. Now I'm going to screen share and show you what you made, and I could use this now for something else. I could use this for another activity. Let's just have a quick look at what you all did. So I'm going to come over to screen share again. So I'm sharing my screen so you can see what I can see. Okay, and look at this. That is what you all produced. And now I can save that. I can export that and save it as an image. Now we've got all these verbs on the screen. And now I could do some really interesting activities. Maybe I'm going to get the students to write the story about this presenter, and they can use all this information to write their story. Yeah, so you've got all this wonderful information now, and simply we can make use of it. And it was just so simple. I just made a question, shared the link, you all clicked on the link, and now I've got all your answers here. He sang a song, he answered the phone, he answered his mobile phone. Yeah, he didn't check his slides. Well done. He was getting ready to give a presentation. His phone rang. He threw his pencil to the audience. He brought a lion toy. Fantastic. We could use all this language now to do a writing activity, and maybe we do that for homework. Okay, so let me just stop sharing and come back to the presentation. So first technology, guys, has worked absolutely fantastic. That was brilliant. 1,500 people, all of you doing an answer garden. With answer garden, you can answer short questions and the students can write in, so you can get them to do sentences, but you can also use it for brainstorming. Think of all the words in the kitchen. Think of all the words to describe transport. You can do it for all sorts of things. We're going to interview someone. Think of a question to ask them. So I've used this in many ways, but what I'm trying to do is connect what the students do for homework with what the students do in the class. Now, at the end of today's lesson, we're going to come back to Padlet. Okay, so Padlet is another technology that I'm going to show you. These technologies are for quick checking. Did the students understand? Do they get the basic idea? But remember, when they make something, like, for example, a Padlet or an answer garden, make sure you use it. Make sure you use that student-generated content for another activity. Okay, so lovely start. Okay, wonderful. Let's try now and look at some more things. Okay, so we're going to try and carry on like this and make this almost like a lesson. Now, I'm sure some of you know Google Forms, and I want to understand that Google Forms can actually be used for two things. So about 3 years ago, they changed Google Forms. So you can make a questionnaire, and you might use it for a survey or questionnaire, for example, if you wanted to get some information about how the students have done on a particular module of the course, or feedback on the course, or you want to collect information. So one way that you can use Google Forms is that you can make a questionnaire, and then you can share the link to the questionnaire, and all the students can do the questionnaire, and all the information comes back to you immediately. It's really, really simple technology to use. And what they also did is, a few years ago, they introduced the idea of using it for a quiz. So that way, when you use it for a quiz, you put the answers in, and then the students do the questionnaire, do the quiz, and they get immediate feedback. So you can use Google Forms in two ways, in two very distinct ways. And we're going to start by looking at this first way. So I'm going to screen share and show you why I use so much in my own teaching and learning Google Forms when I'm teaching, especially for what we call formative assessment. So I'm going to come over to screen share again, and we're going to do a little test with you. So I'm going to open up the browser, okay, and I'm going to click on share, and I'm going to do what I did before. I'm just going to look at that. Absolutely fantastic. All of your answers all on one screen. Amazing. Okay. Now what we're going to do is that I've got this survey that I've produced for you. Okay. And I'm just going to make this. I actually made this survey earlier, so I'm just making another copy. Okay, because I'm going to use it with you. So this is going to be called Macmillan Survey 2, because we did a similar presentation in the morning today at 10 o'clock in the UK. All right, so I'm just going to do, here it is. And I've just got a few simple questions. The first says, which do you prefer, to teach online or teach face-to-face? Second question, how useful do you think YouTube is for your teaching? And then the next question is, which of the languages sounds the nicest? English, Italian, French, German, Russian, Chinese, or other? And then my fourth question for you guys is, which of these technologies do you use in your own teaching and learning? PowerPoint, Quizlet, Google Forms, Google Docs, Padlet, screen capture. Okay, that's my question. Now, all I need to do, so I can make this questionnaire really easy, and I'm going to show you how in a minute. So I make the questionnaire. I click on this button here, send, and all I need to do is click on this link here, and I'm going to copy this link. This is the link to do this questionnaire. So I click on copy. All right, now I'm going to come back onto the screen, and again, I'm going to share the link with you in the chat window, and this time I want you to, let me just click onto the right window, sorry. I want you to click on the link and answer those 4 questions. Okay, so this is a way of collecting information from students. Now, you might do this if you want to check, did they understand something? Maybe you've come to the end of the unit and you want to ask them a questionnaire. Did you understand the unit? Are you happy about the vocabulary? Do you understand the new vocabulary? Can you do the following things? So we often use it as that way to get information from our students. Okay, so I'm going to paste you the link in now. There it is, guys. Same thing again, just click on the link and answer the questions. Okay, I'll put it in again. Just click on the link, answer the 4 questions. All the information from 1,500 people will come back to me in a moment. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay. Yep. There are lots of these different technologies. I'm not saying that this is the only good one. There are many good ones. I'm just showing you the ones that I use. I use Google Forms all the time. And you'll see why in a minute, because it's so easy to make a questionnaire, share the link, and collect information from your students. You want to check their understanding. You want to check that they followed something. You want to check that they're happy. You want to gather a survey maybe to find out, have they understood that lesson today? You can use it in lots of different ways. Okay. Now, if I just while you're doing that, and I can see that many of you are doing it, I can already see that there's more than 350 of you have responded. And the number's going up and up as you answer the questionnaire. So I'm going to wait a little while. Let's just see how many people answer the questionnaire. We'll just give it for a couple of minutes. So I use this a lot when I'm teaching a lesson. If I want to stop the lesson and get the students to complete a questionnaire and make sure they understood. Sometimes when we're teaching online, it's very demanding, particularly the live sessions in Zoom or what I'm doing now. And we have to be talking a lot and doing a lot of things. Sometimes you just want to have some space. So the way to have a little bit of space during the lesson is to use a Google form. You can use Answer Garden, of course, but Google form means the students can watch can go through, answer your questions, and that for that 5 minutes or 4 or 5 minutes, you don't have to talk. The students are doing something else. 700 of you have so far replied to that Google form. I'm going to put it back into the chat room just in case anyone missed it. Just one more time, okay? Just in case. I can see already. Just give it a 1 more minute to let people to when you make Google Forms, okay, remember you can make quizzes or you can make surveys. You can collect information or test. So it's perfect for formative study because you can use it for both. All you need to use Google Forms is to have a free, where you have a Gmail account and you simply go to your Google Drive. Now, just like with Answer Garden, I've made some special videos to show you how to use Google Forms, and I'll give you those at the end, okay? But we'll just, so don't worry about technically what you have to do. Right, guys, let's have a quick look, right, then at what you've done. Let me show you why this tool is so useful for assessment and evaluation of our students, all right? I'm going to click on the share screen again. So I'm going to click over on screen sharing. So I'm doing the same as I did before. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you. Let's just give it a second. I can actually see that there are people still answering the questions. Look, 749 of you have answered the questions. Now, this is the really interesting thing. Let me show you this. I can click here and see immediately your responses. And I immediately get a graph that shows me nearly 80% of you prefer to teach face-to-face. Only 20% like teaching online. A lot of you like YouTube. Look at that. Nearly some of you think it's brilliant, absolutely superb. And I would kind of agree with you. I think YouTube's great. I've got here which language is the most popular. It seems to be that English is the most popular. Okay, I thought that maybe Italian or French would be the most popular. Definitely for me, I would say probably French or Italian are my favorite 2 languages. I like Chinese too. And then I've got all this information as well at the bottom there about all the different technologies that you're working with. So I can just collect this information from you really quickly. Just make a survey and suddenly I've got all of this information. Now I could use this information now for a discussion or to get the students to do a presentation or maybe get the students to write something on the basis of this information, okay? So these this way of using Google Forms to check how the students are doing and have they followed is really, really useful. Now, some of you are still answering the questions, I know. You better stop, because I'm going to show you now how to make a Google form. So if you're watching the screen, I'm going to show you exactly how I make a Google form. So I go to my Google Drive. Okay, so just to start right from the beginning, so I'm making it really, really clear. You go to Google and then you click on the right here where it says Google Apps. And the Google app that you want to click on is your Google Drive. Now, when you click on your Google Drive, you come here and you click on New on the left, and then you're going to click on More, and you click on Google Forms. Now, I'm going to show you an example. But this time, the Google form that I'm going to make is going to be a Google form that tests you. It's going to give you feedback. So we're not going to look at collecting information. Rather, we're actually going to produce a quiz, a question, and you will get feedback on it. So I'm going to call this Macmillan video test. Okay. 2. Now, I'm going to write a quick description here. I'm going to just say, watch this video. Okay, so, and answer the questions. In fact, I can just put, actually, I don't even need to put that. I can put that below. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to ask you to put in your names. Okay, so I'm just going to put here video quiz. Okay, as the description. I'm going to click here, and the first question I'm going to ask is going to be your name. So I'm going to change that to short answer, and I'm just going to say, what is your name? Because I want to get your names when we do this. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to have you watch a video. I'm going to make this obligatory, so I'm going to click there. So I'm going to click on this YouTube, and I'm going to find the video I want you to use. And what I'm going to do is I'll use the same video, just to make life easy, the same video that I just used a minute ago. Okay, I can use any video from YouTube for this particular activity, all right? So I click on video presentation. I'm going to be searching. There it is. I'm going to put that same video in just because it will make things easy. So I've now added my video, and I'm going to put some instructions. I'm going to say, watch the video and answer the questions below. Okay. Now, the one thing that we need to do if we're going to use this as a quiz tool, so the students watch the video and then answer the questions, the one thing we need to do is come up to the settings and click on quizzes, because we're going to make this into a quiz, and we're going to say, yes, make this a quiz. Now we click on save. Now I'm going to start to put the questions. Okay, so you've already seen the video, which is going to help. So I'm going to click here, and the first question I'm going to ask is, what does he knock over? I'm going to put 3 possible answers: pens, computer. In fact, let's put it in the past, because really it was in the past as well, wasn't it? You watched it in the past, so let's do it as a past activity. What did he knock over? Computer, or did he knock over his lion? Okay, or actually, yeah, let's just put that. Okay, the answer, of course, is that he knocked over his pens. Now, what I do, I click on answer key to put the answers in so that Google Forms knows what the correct answer is. I tell it which is the correct answer, so I'm going to say pens. And then I'm going to put the feedback. So if you get the answer incorrect, I'm going to say incorrect. It was the pens. Okay, he knocked over the pens. Okay, and if it's going to be correct, I'm going to say well done. But well done. And that will do. Okay, now probably if I had more time, I'd write more feedback. Now I'm going to click on save. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 points if you get that correct. Now I'm going to ask another question. So I'm going to click here, and we'll ask a second question. And this second question we're going to answer is, what did he, let's say, what did he, okay, what did he throw into the audience? Okay, simple question. Again, we'll put 3 options. We're going to say he threw a book into the audience. He didn't do that. Did he throw a computer into the audience? No, he didn't do that. He threw a pen into the audience. Same thing again. We click here on answer key, and we're going to tell Google Forms which one is the correct answer. So the correct answer is pen. We're going to give the feedback, and we're going to say incorrect answer, no, comma, the correct answer is pen. Or correct answer, we're going to say, well done, you got it correct. Okay, so I won't do any more. You get the idea. You can add more and more questions. You can have thousands of people doing this activity. There doesn't seem to be any limit. Okay, so much more than you've probably got in any of your classes. So you're going to be absolutely fine for that. I've made my questions. Just make sure that I put the right number of points. Now, I just want to point something out. I'm starting here with a video, but I could have just chosen to write in here and put the text. If I wanted to make this a reading comprehension, I could have simply, instead of a video, I could delete the video, put the text in here, and then it could have been a reading comprehension. So you can use Google Forms for reading comprehension. You can use it for video. You can also include pictures. Okay, so you've got lots and lots of options. Now, once you've done your quiz, I'm just going to click here it will copy the title here. I'm going to click on send. I'm going to do exactly the same as I did before. I'm going to click here on share. I can make the link a bit shorter, which helps, and I'm going to copy that. Now, all I want you to do, you don't really need to watch the video because you've already seen it, but if you want to, you can watch it again. I'm going to share that link with you, and I want you to do that little quiz that I just created. Okay, it was very short. Okay, so I'm going to send that to you now. Just click on the link and do the quiz, and you should see that you can do the quiz, and it will give you immediate feedback on did you get the answers wrong or did you get it right. And in a minute we'll talk about why this is so useful when we're teaching. So let's just give you a couple of minutes. You could attach a MP3 file. You would need to have that somewhere embedded if you wanted to do that, but yes, you could do that. But you can also upload the audio file to YouTube. You don't have to have a video, okay, and then link to that. Any video that you've got on YouTube you can connect to, but yes, you can do it. You could just upload a video, an audio file to YouTube with no video. That still works. As long as you've got a picture, it will work fine. Or you could use any audio device that's got an embed, because then you can embed the question into the Google form, and then students can listen to the audio and then answer the question. So the answer is yes, you can do that, okay? Really, really simple, guys. Okay, all I did to share this with students, as you notice, I simply copied the link and then I shared it with students. So if you're teaching online, during the online session, you just share the link, the students can do the form. This is a great technology to use while you're teaching. So you want to check, did they understand what you taught them? So you have a quiz ready. And after you've been teaching for a couple of minutes, you share the link, the students do the quiz, they get immediate feedback. Did they get it wrong? Did they get it right? So it's great if you're in a lesson and you want to check their understanding. Did they follow the lesson? Did they follow the video we just watched? You can use it in lots of different ways, okay? Just give you a couple of moments, yeah? All right, I'll just share the link again, guys, for anyone that has missed the link. There it is, all right? Just going to give you a couple of minutes. Just think about this, lots of ways. Don't forget, you can do it with video, so you can put a video at the top, but you don't have to put a video there. You can put some reading there, and then the students read it. Someone asked the question, can you put an audio file? Yes, if you can embed the audio, you can do the same thing. You can put it into there, and then, yeah. Now, you can use this in class, so brilliant if you're doing a lesson, and you want to check that the students understand, but also really good if you want them to do it for homework. So you've done an activity in the lesson. Remember, I was talking to you always about this connectivity. You've done an activity in the lesson, and the homework is to do the quiz, okay? Now, let's have a look at what you've done, okay? Let me just have a little look at what you've done. So I'm going to screen share, and we're going to have a quick look now. So I click on screen sharing. I'm going to open my browser. I'm going to share the same window as I keep sharing all the time, okay? And now minimize my screen. There is the quiz. And already 460 of you have already done the quiz. And if I click here on responses, it even tells me which answers you've been put into which questions, okay? So I can get, again, a load of information about whether you got the correct answer or the incorrect answer. 76% of you got the first question right, and 82% of you got the second question right. Okay, some of you got it wrong. Now, I get that information immediately. So in this case, are my students following me? Yes, they are, because I can see that most of them are getting the answers correct. Now I can actually come here and even analyze each single question and see the answers. And I can even go to look at individual students and see what each individual student wrote as well. So I can see that Sylvia, for example, and Anthony, and then I can see the answers to the questions. I can see that they got the questions correct. Okay, so this is brilliant because you can collect all this data from your students really, really quickly. Absolutely brilliant when you're doing an online class, because often in a class, you need to check, are they following you? Remember, you don't have the same information that you would normally have if you are in the classroom with students. And that's why it's more important than ever to make sure that you've got these planned quizzes and planned activities that help you to check understanding. Okay? Okay? Yeah, you just simply copy and paste the link to the students. It's as simple as that. Right, I'm going to stop at this moment and see maybe if I can get Federica, if she's there, to tell me if anyone's been asking any questions. Or if you would like to just write the questions in the screen, in the chat window, I'll see if I can answer a couple of questions. Federica, what questions have they been asking? I can hear you perfectly. The answer is that you've got two options. Some mobile phones will allow it to work if you've got an Android. If you've got something like an iPhone, you'll probably find you need to download the Google Forms app, I'm guessing. So yes, some students will be able to, but there might be some that need to download the app, okay? But it should work. Yes, it should work. I can't be 100% sure about that, but it certainly works on an Android.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Another question that came up was if there's any limit to how many students can fill in a Google form or how many questions you can put in a Google form.
Well, I don't think there's any limit on the number of people that can answer a Google form. I mean, I've just done a Google form with you now with about 700 people have already answered it. So you can have loads of people answering a Google form. That's no problem at all. It just organizes the data. I've never had a limit on the number of questions you can put in Google Forms. You seem to be able to put as many questions as you want. Remember, you wouldn't really use Google Forms for summative feedback. It's for formative feedback. It's for checking their understanding. Okay, so that's when you're going to use it most. But no, I don't think there are any limits.
Thank you. And another question that came from Facebook, from our live streaming on Facebook, is how could you add pictures to your Google Forms quizzes?
Okay, so I will jump back very quickly and show people that in a minute, okay, just to show you, because it's quite useful to know that you can do that. There are actually different ways that you can put pictures in. So when we finish the questions, I'll come back and show you how that can be done, because it's a really good question and it's worth me showing you that. Any other questions, Federica?
So there are a few general questions, for example, about how to ensure that students are not cheating and copying when filling in some Google Forms for assessment. So I don't know if you want to reply to these ones at the end. Up to you.
Really, that's a good question. Really good question. I mean, the best that you can do is that you can ask for their name and ask for their email address, okay? If you're doing a lesson live and you share the link, obviously only the people in your room can see it and can answer the question, so you know who's answering. So that's why I asked you for your names. It's very difficult to be completely controlling unless every student has a Google account, because then you can ask them to log in from their Google account and then you know who they are. So there is a limit to how much control, and that's why I'm saying you don't use Google Forms for summative feedback. You use it for formative feedback, okay? But the best way to control is to ask them to put in their name and their email address. At least then you know who they are. And if you use it in the lesson, there's no problem, because obviously you know who's in your class. Therefore, you know who's answering the questions. Okay?
Thank you.
Right.
And another question that came up, maybe the last one, is there an option on Answer Guard to filter repeated answers?
Sorry, can you say that again? Sorry.
Is there an option on Answer Garden to filter repeated answers?
Yeah, well, you don't want to do that, because one of the things with Answer Garden is that when someone answers repeatedly, it gets bigger and bigger, and it tells you how many people have answered that particular question, and that's what you want. What you do have in Answer Garden is the ability to moderate. If you're worried about some students writing the wrong thing, writing something, swearing or something like that, you can moderate. And when you moderate, that means just very quickly you can open it up and just say yes, 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 yes. So you would agree to all of them, and then they appear. So you do have the ability to moderate. You don't have the ability to filter, but there are a few settings. You can set it that every answer must be different. That is a possibility, but generally you don't want to use it for that. Generally, you want students to put in their answers, and if someone repeats an answer, then that answer will get bigger. So that's how you know that one answer is more popular than another. When you use Answer Garden, there are some settings that allow you to filter a little bit. Okay?
Perfect.
Federica, I'm going to come back and quickly show them about the pictures. So I'm going to come back to, because it's a good question and it's worth knowing about. I'm going to click on screen share again, just really quickly before we move into the last part of the talk. As I said, I want to do a couple more things before we finish. So I'm just going to screen share. Here it is. So let me just add another question, for example. Okay. Now, let me just show you. There's a couple of things I can do. So if I was to edit, and then I was to decide, come back to the questions, and I wanted to, for example, add a picture. Well, I've got pictures here. So I can choose any question that I'm currently working on. I'm going to click on add a picture. And then what will happen is that picture will be added. I can just go onto the internet now, find a picture that I want to work with. So I'm going to upload a picture, for example. Maybe I'll just go off to my computer. Let's just see very, very quickly if I can perhaps get a picture. I've got some individual photos here. Russell individual. Let's just put one of these in, and I can click on open, and then I can load that picture into my presentation. Okay, so number one thing, I can have a picture on the screen. But number two, it's also possible, if we come back to any of these, okay, that you can only add a picture at the top of the screen when you're working with, so we can't add, for example, a picture for each answer, unfortunately. Let me just check on that, but I don't think you can do that. So if I said, for example, let's put the picture, the question here, who is this? Okay, so that's going to be the writing. So let me just put that on the screen. Right, because some of you are still actually adding your answers to this is a bit slow. But then if I now click on plus to now add another question, another possible answer, so I click here, I don't think I have the option. Oh, I do. Look. So in your answers, it is possible to click and add a picture. So you could have option one with a picture, option two with a picture. You can add your picture here. Now, make sure if you do that, you don't use pictures that are too big. Okay, so you can even add a picture into the options for the answer. So instead of writing a word, you could add a picture instead. All right. Just going to come back again to the screen. Okay, let's just come back to the presentation. We're just going to move on a little bit more. We're doing well for time. Now, I did say that I was going to talk about formative assessment, and we've now looked at Google Forms, which is just really useful. We've also looked at the possibility of using Answer Garden. We're going to look at some more technologies in a minute. There are other tools that I use a lot. Socrative and Kahoot would be examples, and I will quickly point out, if you want to learn these technologies as well, where you can find them on my website if I get time at the end. So Socrative you can use online, Kahoot you can use online, Flipgrid's really interesting as well. So those are other technologies that you can use, all right, apart from the ones I've showed you. The ones I showed you, the reasons I showed you those is because they're so adaptable. They can be used in so many different ways. Now, another thing is you might be lucky enough to be connected to Macmillan Campus. And if you don't know about Macmillan Campus, it might be something you want to think about. Let me just explain. Many of the publishing companies, and obviously Macmillan's one of them, they have basically an electronic version of the course book, and you can connect you and your students through Macmillan Campus. And that means you could be doing a lesson, you can open up Macmillan Campus, and you can choose the exercises that you want the students to do for homework. And then the students go home, they do those exercises, and when you open up Macmillan Campus the day after, you can see who did the exercises, what scores they got, etc. So you can really make your job a lot easier. Now, these platforms, they've been around for a long time, but obviously most of us, including me, have not been doing a lot of teaching online using these platforms, because most of us are going into a face-to-face environment. I'm doing a bit of both. So we've not really made use of them. But now, if we're going to be doing a lot of teaching online in the future, this is something to really think about. Find out whether the book you've got has the option of connecting to Macmillan Campus, because you might have an electronic version of your book on Macmillan Campus, and that means that you can connect your students to Macmillan Campus and you connect, so you all connect together there, and then you've got a way of sharing content with the students, and that can make your job a lot easier. And you don't have to worry about doing the feedback. That's all automatically done by the system, because there are quizzes and activities that automatically score the students. So that's another possibility and worth looking into. Okay. Now, a lot of you might be interested in summative assessment, and I want to explain something a little bit different. This is a little bit more advanced. We're going to do one final activity at the end, but I just want to talk about this. See, these days, I don't really teach any English. I used to be both an English teacher and a Spanish teacher. I do teacher training now. And my teachers, they do courses with me online, or they do courses with me face-to-face. And I run some of the Nile courses that Federica mentioned at the beginning. Now, when my teachers are doing different activities with me, they take those activities and they put them into an e-portfolio. So if they've made a video, or they've done a Google form, or they've done an answer garden, or they've done a Padlet, or they've done a Google Doc, they can put those into their e-portfolio. And that means that as they're working through my course, they're taking the different things that they're learning and they're putting them in an e-portfolio. And there's two parts to an e-portfolio. They have to put the different objects in, the digital objects that they create, and they have to reflect on what they're doing. So they have to say, oh, today we did a Google form in the classroom. This is how I might use Google Forms in my teaching. Because remember, my students are teachers. So we can really embed the assessment into the learning. See, I don't do assessment as a different thing. As my students are working through the course, they are adding in the things into their Google, into their e-portfolio. We actually embed the assessment into the learning. Now, I'm going to show you an example, because I've been doing this now for quite a few years. It's, for me personally, one of the most rewarding things I've done. I know this is advanced. I know this is something I want you to just think about, possibly as a future idea. But if you start doing what I've been doing, which is teaching online for many years, it can kind of start to work and make sense. And some of my students produce incredible quality work. Let me just show you a really quick example and very quickly show you how easy it is to do this. So I'm going to share the screen again, and I'm going to jump over to my Google Drive, and I'm going to show you some examples. In fact, I've got one here. Let me just show you this one here right at the top of the screen. Okay, this is a student that I'm working with at the moment. Okay, don't forget, my students are teachers, but this student here, look at their e-portfolio. So here are, after each lesson they do with me, they write a reflective diary about what they've been learning. And this particular student was writing more and more as they got more confident about what they wanted to write and what they wanted to share with me. So this is the summative assessment. I will give this student at the end of the course a mark on this particular piece of work. Okay, so that is the way that my students work. Now, it does two parts. One is the reflection, and then two is all the different things that this student has made they embed them into the course. Okay, so like I can click here and see that they've been working with Quizlet, and they've got a link to a Quizlet they've made, and I can see here that they've been working with Google Forms, and I can see that they've made a Google form that I can check on, or they've done a screen capture. So I'm embedding the learning through using ePortfolio. So in other words, the assessment is actually just the learning. There isn't a different part. As they do the course with me, they normally have to choose just one thing each week that they can add up. Now, how easy is this to do? Well, the thing is, this is so remarkably easy to do. So if I go to my Google Drive and I want to set up my own ePortfolio, I click on New, I come down to More, and I click on Google Sites. Okay, and I'm going to quickly make an ePortfolio right in front of your eyes just to show you what I mean. Watch this. So I'm going to call this one, let's just call it Russell's ePortfolio. Russell's ePort. Let's do it as quick as we can. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do on the opening page is I'm going to have a picture of myself on here and then some text about me here. So I'm going to click here. So I'm going to need to upload a picture. So I'm going to click on upload. So just going to quickly upload a picture. Let's just grab any old picture from here. That will do. Okay. So yeah, let's just put that picture up there. Okay, so just going to click on that, enter. So I've put a picture up, brilliant. Now I want to put some text on the right-hand side next to it. So I'm going to click on text. Now to cheat, just to save myself some time, I'm just going to go to my own website, russellstannard.com, because I've got some text about me there. Because you normally do a profile on the opening page. I'm just going to copy that text as a simple idea, copy. I'm going to come back to my ePortfolio. I'm going to paste that text in. So I've done my first page. Now I'm going to add a new page. So I'm going to click on pages and I'm going to click on plus. I'm going to add a new page and I'm going to call this reflections. So this is where I would write up my reflections. Okay. So I would click on done and then I might start by double clicking and writing, what did we do today? Okay. And then I would start to write here my reflections on today's lesson. Now, I need evidence of what I did today. Remember, we got two parts, the reflection and the content that we create as we're going through the course. So I'm just going to simply go to pages again, click on plus. I'm going to add one more page, and I'm going to call this Google Forms, because today we did Google Forms, and click on done. So I've now got 3 pages all at the top there, all very simple. I'm going to click on my Google Forms, and now I'm going to click on insert. And I'm going to connect to my Google Drive. And hopefully when I come down there, I will see that the Google Forms that you and I created today, there it is. They're all there for me. Look, Macmillan Survey 2. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to insert it. Straight away, I've got evidence of my learning. This was the first activity I did with my teacher, Russell. And there it is. So now in no time at all, I've got my ePortfolio with my introduction to who I am. Here is where I'm going to write my reflections on what we did in that lesson. So lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and here is my Google form. So this can be a way to work. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that you'll be able to do now. I'm just giving you a vision for where a lot of teaching and learning online is going. This way of working when students are producing lots of digital assets is a really good way of working. Okay. So that's just an idea, and I'm using something called Google Sites. If you think that's too complicated, I totally understand. I'm just showing you a little bit, particularly at university level, the type of thing that people are doing, and I've been experimenting with it for more than 10 years now. Okay, so we've looked at Answer Garden, we've looked at Google Forms, we've looked at Google Sites. That was called Google Sites. Okay, now I'm going to do one final activity with you. Just going to come back to the presentation. So remember, when I'm working in ePortfolios, the assessment is embedded in the learning. They're not different. They're all part of the same thing. As the students do learning, they take the things and put them in their ePortfolio, okay? A really, really powerful way of working. One of the most enjoyable things that I've done in terms of my own teaching and learning. So to summarize, and we're going to do a final activity, to summarize, make use of the tools that you've got available in the webinar tool. If you're using Zoom or Google Meet, etc., Microsoft Teams, make use of the apps that you've got within the system, the quiz, the chat, etc. Check understanding using tools like Answer Garden and Padlet. Plan your assessment. Think about when and where you can use it. Remember that you can do the assessment in the class or out of the class. Think about how you're going to connect your class together. Google Forms is great because we can use it for formative assessment, both for quizzes and for surveys. And finally, you might want to think, as an idea for the future, and many universities and kind of higher education organizations are doing this more and more, you might want to think about e-portfolios. Now, you've learned a lot of things today. I'm going to do one final activity with you, okay, to see what you thought of today's session. So I'm going to show you one final technology that we can use for quickly checking understanding. So I'm going to come over. I'm going to click on screen share one final time. I'm going to share my screen with you. And this time, I'm going to open up a technology called Padlet. And I'm going to make a Padlet. And a Padlet is like an electronic corkboard. So I'm going to click on Make a Padlet. And I'll just choose this one here, Wall. And I'm just going to ask you a really simple question. And that question is, what did you learn from today? So you've done quite a few technologies today, all connected with assessment and evaluation of students. I've just written the question. It's a free technology again. I'm going to click on next and I click on start posting. Now, all you need to do, I'm going to share the link with you. All you need to do is double click on the screen. Please write your name. So I'm going to write Russell and I'm going to put I learnt. I'm going to write my answer now. I learnt it is possible to teach 1,500 students, because that's what we've been doing for the last hour. 1,500 students online, and everything seems to have worked. Incredible. I'm going to share that link with you. I know some of you had problems, but nearly everyone seems to be able to have accessed all the stuff. I'm going to come back to stop sharing. I'm going to give you a last couple of minutes to just put your answers into the screen. Okay, don't write it in the chat window, guys. Write it in this Padlet. Okay, I'll put it on the screen again. Write it in the Padlet. I want to collect all your answers together and see what you learnt from today's session. So just going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay. Okay, let's have a little look. I'm going to have a look now while you're just putting in your answers. Don't forget, write your name and then write your answer. Okay, just going to give you a couple of minutes. I'll be really interested to collect all your feedback. So let me have a look and see. Wow, I can see hundreds of answers already going up onto the screen. Lots of people have written about different tools they've liked. Good. Everyone's writing up loads and loads of comments on the screen. Okay, I can see loads and loads of comments going up. Okay. Brilliant. Loads and loads of comments all going up onto the screen. What did you learn from today's session? So I can really see loads of people adding all their ideas. Okay. So again, if you want to check understanding, these technologies can be really powerful for doing this because they allow you to really quickly kind of get together all the information. Okay. Okay, I can see lots of different answers coming up onto the screen now. Okay. So hopefully you've all written your answers onto the screen, onto that Padlet. Okay, let's just have a last couple of things. Okay, so hopefully you can see the Padlet and you see that there's loads and loads of answers on there. And all the answers have all come together. It's another way of checking understanding. Did the students follow? You can ask them a quick question and they can write. Now, the good thing about Padlet is they can write a lot more. Answer Gardens are very short. Padlet lets you to do really, really big things. Now, I said to you, and I want to make this clear, I said to you that if you want some help with any of the technologies today, all you need to do is to email me teachertrainingvideos@gmail.com. Just teachertrainingvideos@gmail.com. Just send me a email, teachertrainingvideos@gmail.com. Send me an email and write the subject Macmillan and just say, hello, this is blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah. I will send you a video that will show you, okay, how to use Google Forms, how to use Answer Garden, how to use Padlet, and also some stuff about e-portfolios, okay? Remember what I've said. Think about it in terms of summative and formative. Remember, we need to plan our feedback sessions a little bit more. Let me just have a quick look at your amazing Padlet. Wow. Let me just screen share and just show you what you've been doing, okay? So I'm going to quickly open up screen share just finally, just to show you that worked perfectly. As the last thing we're going to do, just have a quick look. If we jump over to it, you can see, look, everyone's answers all on the screen, hundreds and hundreds of answers from all the students around the world. So if it can work with me, with nearly 1,500 students, I'm sure it can work with you guys just using in a smaller class. Okay. All right. Don't forget, if you want that handout now, don't forget that handout is not the one that Macmillan are going to send you. Macmillan are going to send you the recording and the PowerPoint slides. I am just giving you some videos to help you use the technologies that we've covered today. Okay, teachertrainingvideos@gmail.com. Finally, just want to say one thing. That's a big, big thank you. I haven't got time for questions. I'm really sorry. But a big thank you to Macmillan for organizing this. Big thank you to Federica for hosting this event. And I really, really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Federica, over to you.
Thank you, Russell. It was an absolutely amazing session, so interactive, and we got a lot of feedback from Facebook as well. So thank you all so, so much for taking part, and thanks to you, Russell, for delivering 2 great sessions. We'll let you go if you have to go. But, you know, Russell was kind enough to give you his email, and you can find a lot of tips and advice on his website that I will just put back on screen here. Teacher training videos, and if you add .com instead of @gmail.com, it's a website. You can find a lot of information there. Thank you so much, Russell.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for being such a great audience. The biggest class I've ever taught, 1,500 students. Amazing.
Even more, probably, because remember Facebook as well. So.
Ah, right. Okay. Got even more than 1,500. Amazing. Absolutely incredible.
It was great. Thank you. And thanks to all of you for attending. Thanks to Mike Riley for organizing this webinar. He's the person behind all of the webinars. We wouldn't have them without Mike.